One of my favorite people to talk to on this planet is Dr. Joe Lewis. And Dr. Lewis, you worked with the Coastal Plains Experiment Station for years.
Yeah, what explained the situation is so I don't get some of my organizations upset at me. I was with the USDA Agricultural Research Service.
Yes.
And the Agricultural Research Service is the research arm of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. But they place many of their labs on different university campuses.
Okay.
My organization, where I got my paycheck, was the USDA ARS, but we were located on the University of Georgia at Tifton campus. And so, I mean, we are kind of interactive. I had an appointment with the University of Georgia. I had all the rights of someone that was there. I could have graduate students bring in grants, but my paycheck came through the Agricultural Research Service. It was a joint appointment.
Let's go back. This book that I'm here to talk to you about. Now, we've already you've done research and study, and you're the guy with the wasp that knows everything. But you're calling this a new farm language. And let's go back just a little bit. Where do you hail from? Where do you come from as a kid?
I grew up in South Mississippi. If you ever hear folks talking about Jerry Clower, if you ever heard Jerry Clower, he was my neighbor.
Oh, so you knew Jerry Clower?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a little bit older than me. I grew up about 60 miles north of Baton Rouge.
Okay.
It's in that corner of Mississippi that's not down on the coast, but that part that where Louisiana reaches under Mississippi. And so I was in the southwest part of Mississippi, north of Baton Rouge.
You were sharing with me that your father was a sharecropper.
Right.
And y'all were very self-sufficient as farmers.
Right.
And then from there, who inspired you to go as far as you have gone?
Well, I have to answer that question a little broader than that.
Please.
As from a standpoint of my intrigue in the natural world and intrigue with everything from biology and insects and the natural world, it was affected very much by the way I grew up. I grew up as a sharecropper's son. We didn't have any running water and no electricity. Not only no running water, we didn't have any electric lights until I was well on up into the years. And first running water I had was when I went to college and lived in a dormitory. But anyway, it was, to quote Charles Dickens, the best of times and the worst of times. It was the best of times in that as a kid who was fascinated by nature, it was a wonderful life because of all the things that you had to explore. You were not only in nature, you were of nature, a part of that. So I was fascinated with that, and that context just created a very strong fascination. But thinking about it as a profession, it was largely influence of teachers. My coach in the high school was also my biology teacher.
Okay.
Very small school. And I would have had no vision of what the possibility of going into science as a living. It was beyond my fondest imagination, but it was teachers, good teachers.
He probably saw something in you.
Well, he actually he influenced me that I needed to go to college, and he thought I should get into life science, and he inspired me in a certain way. He said, Joe, you need to go into life sciences. They need you in that field.
Well, now, the book we're going to talk about today is not your first book, is it?
Well, as a complete book, I had a book I published that's more of a textbook years ago, semiochemicals and so forth. But this was more about a complete book around. It's a combination of a memoir and the world of science that I worked in. It's a story within a story.
What will we observe in this book, Joe? Well, your life as it began and as you came up, or what? What will we observe in this book?
Well, it's the story of growing up in that kind of world, what life was like in a small rural farm, what it's like to live in a world where you do not have any electricity or running water in very rural community. And that's when I say it's the Charles Dickens quote, it was the best of times and the worst of times. It was the best of times because life was, it was rich. My sister, I had one sister, we were probably by anyone's assessment from today's world would say we were in poverty, but we wanted for nothing. It was really, I mean, we grew our own food, we knew the connection to the land, we were well taken care of. Life was about relationships, not about, we didn't have any electronic games to play on TV, but life was about living in a family loved and cared about. It was really more about relationships and things.
It strikes me that at mine and your age, both of us, that we have lived through this period of time, and the fact that you got to experience that. This is sort of like a history of that era, isn't it? And what you've come through.
Really, what I do in the book is, and what I wanted to lay out was what life was like during that time when you really live in a rural area where you don't have any of the commotions of commercial world. I mean, like for an example, now anywhere, if you want to go somewhere where you don't hear noise, even sitting right here, it gets in, we can hear the Interstate 75. We seldom know what it's like now to be completely away from electric lights shining somewhere in the distance, or the noise in the distance. In the life that I grew up in there, you hear only nature sounds. And you were of nature, you experienced nature. And so it was something that we've lost there. We also knew our connection to the land. We had chickens, we grew our own eggs, we churned our own butter. We butchered a yearling now and then, and we had it in a smokehouse. We gathered our food. There was very little that we ate that didn't come from our land. So who is it today that sits around the table with their family, and everyone at that family that's sitting at that table was a part of producing the food on the table?
How about that?
And so it's a difference. It's the way the world has changed, and I had the experience to go from that, then to go have an opportunity to get a good education, go into science itself, and be at the front end of modern technology for 40 years.
You have sort of lived the American dream, haven't you?
Right. I am a product of the American dream.
And
absolutely.
Your book, is it available right now, Joe?
Yes, it is.
And how do they get it?
The publisher is AcresUSA. Acres like an acre of land.
Okay.
and you can go on the web, look at AcresUSA for a new farm language, and order it from AcresUSA.
And
Now I'm going to be on May the 1st on the terrace of from 4 to 5. That's
Okay.
a Saturday on the terrace of Giggles downtown.
Okay.
We'll have a book signing from 4 to 6, and I
Okay.
will have, as long as they last, copies of the book for sale.
So I want to make it perfectly clear, folks. Giggles Cafe downtown in Tifton. He'll be outside the door on the terrace out the back where you eat outdoors.
Right.
Come by and get Dr. Lewis's book. This,
Yeah.
this for me, and I'm going to get one. I got to read this story. For people our age, we've lived it. A lot of us have.
Right.
But this is good reading for if you're in your 30s and you want to know what happened and how we all came to this point. This is a good journey.
Yeah, to say a little more about how the book unfolds. It's about the life I do tell the story what it's like to grow up in that kind of environment. Who has been in a 5-acre cotton field, all plowed by mule. I grew up, and our cash crop was 5 acres of cotton. We grew about 15 to 20 acres of corn to feed our mule and our few head of cattle that we have and our chickens. And so it was a combination of all that together, but our cash crop was 5 acres of cotton. What you had beyond what you were eating and grew on your farm, to your garden and so forth, that really depended on how good you did at cotton. If you made a good crop of cotton, now since we were sharecroppers, didn't own our own land, we had to give about a fourth to half of that to the landlord before we had the balance as what we used to buy anything else we needed in the year.
I sense a nostalgia in you, kind of.
Yeah.
Is there a nostalgia?
It is a nostalgia, because because that's what the rest of the book is, to have the opportunity to grow up, to go to college, to enjoy the American dream. I did finish my PhD at 24 years of age. I had a wonderful career studying entomology and research with the study of insects and plants and cropping systems and manage of insect pest problems and so forth. But that was a wonderful life. It's like, when I speak to folks, I said my job is to go in the lab and see things and tell people what I saw. But I do see that we've lost a lot. It was the worst of times and the best of times, and what I do see and I talk about is how we've changed, and in this modern era, a lot of things that we're losing.
Well, I want to thank you for talking to us, and remind them once again, what date will you be at Giggles Cafe?
May the 1st, Saturday, May the 1st.
Okay.
4 to 6 p.m.
Yes.
It is the Kentucky Derby Day, but that'll be a little after.
Well, you folks, you come get your book, and then everybody get home to watch the Kentucky Derby. And Joe, that always reminds me of Love Affair, because we'd always go to the Love Affair and we'd go home and watch the Derby. Clinton and I would.
Yeah.
But again, I want to thank you so much for visiting with me today and talking about this book. Dr. Lewis, you have had an incredible life. You have given far more than you have taken, and I want to say that because I know you. And your time on our city council was fabulous. Your ideas and your thoughts You just, I'm just very proud that I know you, and I mean that sincerely.
Yeah, very kind.
You have given more than you have taken.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope I've given back what I've. It's been my adopted community of Tifton. You know, I came to Tifton in 1967, right after it completed my doctoral degree at Mississippi State University. I had 3 job opportunities: University of Arkansas, Cornell University, which my Cornell friends will never forgive me for coming to Tifton, Georgia versus Cornell. But I never thought I'd be here my entire career, but I've loved it. It's my home, and I hope I've given enough in return, because it's been a wonderful place to have a family and lead a life. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.